That wedding slap echoed for exactly 3 seconds before someone dropped a champagne glass. I counted. When you're getting your face smacked in front of 100 people, time does funny things. Stretches out like taffy. My daughter-in-law's hand connected with my cheek, and I remember thinking, this is what 32 years of sacrifice buys you. A red mark and scattered applause from people who thought it was part of the toast. "The keys, Helen," Lena said into the microphone. Her wedding dress cost $6,000. I knew because I'd paid for it. "Hand them over, now." My son Daniel stood beside her in his rented tux, looking at his shoes. 28 years old and couldn't meet his mother's eyes. The DJ had stopped the music. Someone's aunt coughed in the back. "We'll discuss this later," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. My cheek burned. "There's nothing to discuss." Lena's smile could have frozen vodka. "You signed the apartment over 6 months ago. We're being generous, giving you until after the honeymoon." 6 months ago. The papers her uncle brought over. "Just a formality," Daniel had said. "Tax purposes, Mum. You'll still live there." I should have known then, should have seen it coming like you see headlights before the crash, but mothers are stupid that way. We believe our children when they say they love us. The microphone squealed feedback as I set down my champagne. My hands weren't shaking yet. That would come later, in the cold. "I need to get some air," I said to nobody in particular. I walked through that crowd of Daniel's friends, Lena's family, people I'd invited with my own money. The venue had cost 11 grand. The flowers, 3,000. The food, 8,000 per head. My retirement fund was now a memory and a beautiful centerpiece arrangement. Outside, the October wind cut through my dress. I'd bought it at Macy's, on sale, because I'd needed to save money for their perfect day. The parking lot smelled like fallen leaves and car exhaust. That's when I made the call. The call that would make everyone inside cry within 20 minutes. But you don't know about that yet. You don't know who I called, or why it mattered. You will. First, you need to understand how I got here. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. The man who walked through those venue doors 9 minutes after my call wasn't supposed to exist anymore. I'd made sure of that 2 years prior, locked away certain parts of my past, like old photographs in a basement box. But desperate times make you dig up graves. He wore a suit that didn't quite fit his shoulders, military bearing, the kind that never fully leaves. When he stepped into the reception hall, the music died a second time that night. Lena saw him first. Her face went from bride glow to winter pale. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Bad habit. Let me rewind this mess. 3 months before the wedding, I'd been living in the apartment I'd owned for 16 years. 2 bedrooms, decent neighborhood, mortgage paid off 5 years back. I'd worked double shifts as a nurse to pay for that place. Worked through Daniel's childhood, through his college fund, through everything. "Mom, we need to talk about your living situation," he'd said that Tuesday in July. Living situation. Like I was a problem tenant. "What about it?" Lena's uncle looked at the building codes. "You're sitting on prime real estate. If we transferred ownership, we could leverage it for our future." "Our future, not mine." "You want me to sign over my home?" "It's just paperwork. You'd still live there. It's about tax strategy." I'd looked at my son, really looked. Somewhere between Little League and law school applications. He'd learned to lie without blinking. Or maybe I'd just stopped paying attention. "Let me think about it," I'd said. "Mum, Lena's family has connections. Her uncle knows what he's doing." Lena's uncle, real estate lawyer, expensive watch, cheap smile. He'd brought the papers himself, had me sign next to little sticky arrows. "Just a formality, Mrs. Pierce. Your son wants to protect your assets." Protect. Funny word for theft. I signed. I was tired. I trusted my son. I was an idiot. The court letter arrived 2 weeks before the wedding. Official notice of property transfer. I wasn't a tenant. I wasn't anything. The apartment belonged to Daniel and Lena now, fully and legally. The signature was mine, witnessed and notarized. I'd walked to Daniel's office downtown. He worked in marketing, made decent money, drove a leased BMW. "Did you know about this?" I'd asked, waving the letter. He'd glanced at it like he was checking a grocery list. "Know about what?" "I don't own my home anymore." "Right, the transfer. That was months ago, Mum." "You said I'd still live there." "You will, until we need the space." "What space?" "Lena's pregnant. We're going to need room." She wasn't pregnant. That was lie number 47, but I wasn't counting anymore. "So, where am I supposed to go?" He'd looked at me then, really looked, and I saw nothing behind his eyes. No guilt, no love, just calculation. "There's the garage behind the house. It's insulated, sort of." The garage smelled like motor oil and regret. One space heater, a cot from someone's camping trip, and my life packed into garbage bags. Black industrial ones, the kind you use for leaves. Lena had done the packing herself, made a show of it while neighbors watched. "You're being dramatic, Helen," she'd said, tossing my mother's quilt into a bag. "It's temporary." Temporary. I'd been there 6 weeks when the wedding happened. October nights in that garage dropped to 40 degrees. The heater worked until midnight, then clicked off. "Building code," Daniel explained. "Fire hazard. Couldn't have it running all night." I'd wake up at 3 a.m., breath visible, joints aching. 54 years old and sleeping in a garage because my son needed my apartment to flip for profit. The real estate market was hot. They could clear 200 grand easy, according to Lena's calculations. She'd shown me spreadsheets. "Think of it as investing in Daniel's future," she'd said. I thought about it every night in that cold, dark space. Thought about a lot of things. During the day, I still worked at Mercy General. 30 years in nursing, overnight shifts mostly. I'd come home at 6 a.m. to that garage, try to sleep through construction noise from the main house. They were renovating. New kitchen, hardwood floors, my money paying for granite countertops I'd never see. The wedding planning had been Lena's domain, but the bills came to me. She'd hand them over with this smile, like we were in it together. "You want the best for Daniel, right?" Every time I'd paid. What else could I do? He was my son. Your children are supposed to be your legacy, not your executioner. I found the proof 3 days before the wedding. Daniel had left his laptop open in the house. I wasn't snooping. I'd gone inside to use the bathroom because the garage had no plumbing. His email was right there on the screen. Subject line, timeline for Mum's situation. Dated 8 months back. I'd read through their exchange. Daniel and Lena planning my removal like it was a business merger. Phase 1, get signature. Phase 2, move her out post-wedding. Phase 3, sell apartment, clear debts, relocate. Relocate. They weren't just taking my home. They were leaving town entirely. And I'd been funding my own abandonment, one wedding invoice at a time. I'd screenshot everything on my phone. Didn't know why at the time. Instinct, maybe. The kind you develop working ER nights when someone's story doesn't match their injuries. At the wedding, when Lena demanded those keys, I'd already known. But knowing and feeling are different animals. The slap still surprised me. The public humiliation still burned. The man I'd called was named Jack Brennan. Former Army, dishonorable discharge, for reasons he'd never explained. We'd met 2 years prior when he'd been admitted to my ward with a knife wound. Refused to say how he got it. I'd patched him anyway, didn't ask questions. He'd given me his number. "You ever need something off book, call me." I'd never called, until that night. He walked into the reception, scanned the crowd, found me, nodded once. Lena saw him and her face did something I'd never seen before. Fear, maybe. Recognition, definitely. "Who is that?" someone whispered. Jack walked straight to Daniel, handed him an envelope. Then he left. No words, no drama. Daniel opened it, read, looked at me across the room. Inside that envelope were copies of everything. The emails, the timeline, the proof that their marriage started with planned betrayal. And one more thing, a lease agreement. I'd rented a different apartment that afternoon, paid first and last month, using money I'd hidden from the wedding fund. Not much, but enough. Congratulations on your marriage, I'd written on the note inside. You're going to need each other. I left the wedding before they cut the cake. Walked to my new place, a studio above a diner. Small, but it was mine. Pain has a smell. It smells like old rubber mats and sweat, like liniment and iron. The boxing gym on Fletcher Street opened at 5 a.m., and I was there every morning before my shift ended. You're too old for this, the trainer had said when I'd signed up. Jimmy, 40 years coaching fighters, face like a catcher's mitt. Probably, I'd agreed. He'd taught me anyway. Jab, cross, hook. How to move your feet. How to take a punch without folding. I learned quick because I was angry, and anger is rocket fuel when you point it right. The night job came through Tommy Valdez, a co-worker's husband. Security guard at a corporate plaza downtown. Graveyard shift, 9 to 5 a.m. Then I'd hit the gym, then sleep until my nursing shift started at 11 p.m. 3 hours of sleep a day. I lost 16 pounds in a month, stopped looking like someone's discarded mother, started looking like something with edges. You're different, my co-worker Sandra said one night. Thinner, harder. Cheaper groceries, I'd told her. Not entirely a lie. The security job was boring until it wasn't. 2 a.m. on a Wednesday, 3 guys tried the back entrance of the office building. Young, stupid, high on something chemical. They'd assumed an old lady guard wouldn't fight back. They'd assumed wrong. First one went down when I jabbed his nose, heel of my palm up and fast like Jimmy taught me. Second one grabbed my arm and I twisted, threw him into the door frame. Third one ran. The other 2 followed after I'd pulled my baton. Jesus Christ, Helen, Tommy said when he'd arrived with police. You took combat classes or something? Something, I'd said. The company gave me a commendation. Useless plaque, but it felt like progress. Felt like I wasn't just some discarded thing lying in a garage anymore. At the gym, I'd met Marcus. Wrong side of 50, former Marine, worked private security. Not a friend exactly, more like a witness to mutual damage. You training for something specific? He'd asked one morning, watching me work the heavy bag. Self-improvement, I'd said. That's code for revenge. I'd stopped punching, looked at him. I know the look, he'd said. Someone took something from you. You're getting ready to take it back. Maybe. Word of advice. Whatever you're planning, make it legal. Prison food is terrible. I'd laughed. First time in months. No prisons. I'm not that angry. Everyone's that angry. Difference is who controls it. He'd shown me some moves. Not fighting exactly. More like practical violence. How to break someone's grip. Where to hit if you need them down fast. Joint locks. Pressure points. The kind of things nurses know about anatomy, adapted for different purposes. This is all theoretical, right? I'd said. Sure, theoretical. I found the weak spot by accident, the way you find most important things. 2 months after the wedding, I'd been sorting through old files. Bills, mostly. Records of every payment I'd made for Daniel over the years. Buried in there was a building inspection report from my old apartment, the one I'd signed over. I'd gotten it done years back when I'd refinanced. Code violations flagged but grandfathered in. Outdated electrical, ventilation issues, zoning marked residential only. No commercial use permitted. I'd forgotten about it. But suddenly it mattered. Daniel and Lena had listed the apartment online. I'd been checking obsessively, watching the price, $230,000. Investor special, the listing said, perfect for rental conversion or office space. Office space, commercial use, in a residential-only zone. I'd made a call to the city planning department. Anonymous tip. Just a concerned citizen noticing a potential zoning violation. They'd investigate, I was told. These things take time. They took 2 weeks. The listing vanished. I'd checked Daniel's credit through a service I'd found online. His score had dropped 80 points. Penalties stacking, permit fees, legal costs to contest the zoning. I hadn't smiled in months, but I'd smiled then. I'd started following them. Daniel's construction business had taken loans against the apartment sale. Lena's lifestyle blog had sponsorships based on their success story. Wedding gifts had been returned for cash to cover immediate expenses. They were drowning in debt, staying afloat by promising that apartment money that now couldn't come through. And then I'd found out about my daughter, Mira, 25, living 2 states over. We'd talked every Sunday for years. She'd been at the wedding, quiet, hadn't said much. I'd thought she was just shy around Lena's crowd. I'd called her 3 months post-wedding, asked if she'd known about Daniel's plans. Long silence on the line. Mira, Mom, I can't talk about this. You knew. Daniel said it was best for everyone, that you'd understand eventually. Best for everyone. You weren't using that space efficiently. He was just trying to help you downsize. In a garage. He downsized me to a garage. That was Lena's idea. Daniel felt bad about it. But he did it anyway. Mum, you're being unfair. He's trying to start a life. I'd hung up. Didn't trust myself to keep talking. Both my children. Not just Daniel. Both of them had decided I was disposable. Fine, I could work with that. The anonymous report went to 3 banks simultaneously. Documentation of Daniel's permit violations, photos of unsafe electrical work at the apartment, copies of pending city fines. Nothing illegal in sending it, just concerned citizens sharing public information. His business credit line froze within a week. The construction contracts he'd been counting on fell through. One of his clients had been particularly interested in his residential project flipping. That client received special attention from city inspectors after another anonymous tip about corner cutting. Chain reactions are beautiful. One domino, then another, then suddenly everything's falling and nobody can figure out where it started. I'd watched from a distance, checked their social media. Lena had stopped posting. Her influencer feed, usually 5 updates daily, went silent. The wedding photos disappeared from her Instagram entirely. Daniel had called me, first time since I'd left the reception. Mom, we need to talk. About what? I need help, financial help. Just a loan, I'll pay you back. Where would I get money to loan you? You're working 2 jobs now. Tommy told me. You must have something saved. Tommy, I'd need to have a conversation with Tommy about running his mouth. I spent my savings on your wedding, I'd said. Mom, please, we're in trouble here. You should talk to Lena's uncle, the real estate expert. Silence. Mom. Or maybe downsize. I hear garages are available. I'd hung up. My hands had been shaking, not from fear, from something else. Something that felt like power mixed with poison. 3 days later, Lena had called. Her voice was different, smaller. Helen, we need to clear the air. The air is clear. You slapped me at your wedding and stole my home. I was stressed. The wedding was overwhelming. I said things I didn't mean. You said to give you my keys. You meant that. Can we meet, face to face? Why? Daniel's business is failing. We need the apartment sale to go through. But with these violations, we can't sell. If you could talk to the city, explain that the reports are mistakes. Are they mistakes? Helen, please. You called me Helen, not Mom. I noticed that at the wedding too. I'm asking for help. Family helps family. That's funny. I thought family didn't make family sleep in garages. I'd hung up before she could respond. The violation reports weren't mistakes. Every single issue was documented, photographed, filed properly. The electrical work was dangerous. The ventilation was substandard. The zoning was explicitly residential. I'd simply made sure people were paying attention. The video had been inevitable. Someone at that wedding had filmed the slap, probably multiple someones. Phones are always out at weddings, capturing every moment. I'd known this. I'd counted on it. Finding the right person took work. I'd gone through the guest list, cross-referenced social media. Found a cousin of Lena's, Emily, who'd posted other wedding content, but notably, nothing about the confrontation. I'd created a fake account, messaged her, said I was doing a documentary about family dynamics at weddings, would pay for footage, $200. She'd sent me 3 videos. The slap was crystal clear in 2 of them. My face, Lena's hand, the microphone catching her words. The keys, Helen, now. I'd posted it from an anonymous account. No caption needed. The video spoke for itself. Tagged it with local community groups, wedding planning forums, Lena's professional network. Viral is a strange word. Makes it sound biological. Infectious. It was. 48 hours, the video had 60,000 views. Local news picked it up. Wedding Gone Wrong segment on the morning show. Lena's lifestyle brand had been built on perfect moments. Perfect home, perfect marriage, perfect life. This wasn't perfect. This was ugly and public and permanent. Her sponsorships dropped within a week. The yoga wear company, the home goods line, the meal prep service, all of them distanced themselves. Brand alignment issues, their statement said. She'd know it was me, had to know, but she couldn't prove it. Anonymous accounts, untraceable uploads, public footage. Nothing illegal about sharing what someone else filmed. Daniel had called again. This time he'd been angry. You destroyed her career. I shared a video. You know what you did. I know what she did. At your wedding. To me. In front of everyone. That's between us. Family business. She made it public when she grabbed that microphone. I just made sure people saw what they missed the first time. Mum, stop this. Stop what? I haven't done anything wrong. Have I broken any laws, filed any false reports, committed any crimes? You're ruining our lives. No, I'm just not saving you anymore. There's a difference. He'd hung up that time. I'd sat in my studio apartment, eating ramen, watching the view counter climb on that video. 60,000 became 80,000, became 100. Lena had posted an apology. Public statement about stress, wedding jitters, misunderstanding between mother-in-law and bride, begged for privacy, asked people to stop sharing. The internet doesn't work that way. The internet is forever, and it loves watching people fall. Her family had called mine. Lena's mother had gotten my number somehow, left voicemails. You're destroying a marriage. Is that what you want? Is revenge worth breaking up a family? I'd saved the voicemails. You never know when you need evidence of harassment. The parking lot behind my security building was poorly lit. Intentional design, Jimmy had explained, keeps people cautious. I'd been loading my car after shift, 5:30 a.m., sky still dark. Daniel had been waiting by my driver's door. We need to talk, he'd said. So, talk. Not here, get in your car. I don't take orders from you anymore. He'd grabbed my arm, not hard, but firm. The way you grab someone when you're used to them listening. I twisted my wrist the way Marcus showed me, broke his grip, stepped back. Don't touch me. Mum, listen. No. You listen. You stole my home. You humiliated me. You planned it for months. I found the emails, Daniel. I know everything. His face had changed. Harder. Then you know we needed that money. For what? Your BMW lease? Lena's designer wedding dress? For our future. What about mine? You're old. You'd have died in that apartment eventually. We were just accelerating the timeline. I'd actually laughed. Couldn't help it. accelerating the timeline. That's what you call throwing your mother in a garage. It was temporary. It was November. Do you know how cold it gets at night? You're fine now. You have this job, that apartment. You landed on your feet. Because I had to, not because you cared. I care. You're my mother. Then act like I'm your mother instead of a problem you solved. He'd moved toward me again, not threatening exactly. More like he was trying to corner me into compliance. Old habit. Worked when he was 16 and wanted money for movies. Didn't work now. Get out of my way, I'd said. Not until you stop whatever you're doing. The reports, the video, all of it. You're destroying us. You destroyed yourself. I just refused to clean up the mess. That's when he'd shoved me. Palms flat against my shoulders, pushing me back against my car. Hard enough to knock the wind out. Jimmy's voice in my head. When someone puts hands on you, you decide how it ends. I'd stepped forward fast inside his reach, jabbed my elbow into his solar plexus. Not full force. Didn't want to really hurt him, just wanted him to stop. He'd doubled over, gasped, stepped back. Jesus, Mom. Don't put your hands on me again. You hit me. You shoved me first. That's assault. I defended myself. That's legal. This isn't over, he'd said. Yes, it is. It's been over since you signed those transfer papers. You just didn't know it yet. He'd walked away, limping slightly. I'd gotten in my car, hands steady on the wheel, drove to the gym, worked the bag until my knuckles split. Marcus had noticed. You okay? Family reunion. The kind that ends in someone bleeding. The kind that should have happened months ago. He'd thrown me a roll of tape. Wrap those hands better next time. The pawnshop receipt was tucked inside an old coat pocket. I'd been going through the stuff Lena had thrown out, seeing if anything was salvageable. Most wasn't. Clothes damaged, photos torn. Cruelty or carelessness, hard to say which. But in the pocket of my mother's winter coat, the one I'd kept for 20 years after she'd died, there was a receipt. Dated 4 months before the wedding. Roth's Pawn, downtown. Item description. Estate jewelry lot, mixed gold, approx 3 O's. Sale price, $1,800. My mother's jewelry. Her wedding ring, the pearl necklace from her mother, the bracelet my father bought her on their 20th anniversary. I'd given it to Daniel years ago. For Lena, when you propose, these should stay in the family. He'd pawned them, 4 months before the wedding, probably used the money for the venue deposit. I'd sat on the floor of my studio holding that receipt. The coat still smelled like my mother, lavender and old soap. She'd died when Daniel was 12. She'd loved him completely, the way grandmothers do. Used to bake him cookies every Sunday. He's a good boy, Helen, she'd said before the cancer took her. He'll take care of you when I'm gone. I'd folded the receipt, put it in my wallet, drove to Roth's. I'm looking for some items that were sold here, I'd told the man behind the counter. Showed him the receipt. That was months ago, long gone. Who bought them? Can't tell you that. Privacy policy. I'd put $200 on the counter. Privacy policy flexible? He'd looked at the money, looked at me, pulled up his records. Bought by an estate dealer, resold at auction probably. They're gone. Who sold them? The name on the account? Daniel Pierce. I'd known already, but hearing it confirmed hurt different, made it real in a way the receipt hadn't. Thank you, I'd said. Lady, for what it's worth, I remember this sale. Kid came in, said he needed money fast. Didn't even haggle on price. Those pieces were worth $3,000 easy. I lowballed him and he took it. Did he say what he needed the money for? Said he was getting married. Needed to impress his fiancé's family. I wished him luck. I'd driven to the gym after. Hit the bag until my hands wouldn't close. Marcus had to peel the gloves off. What happened? He'd asked. Found out my son pawned his grandmother's jewelry to pay for wedding flowers. Jesus. I need to hurt someone. Not the answer. What is? Hurt them worse, but legally. Make them feel what you felt. How? He'd sat down on the bench. You take everything, not just money, pride, reputation, hope. You make them understand what loss means, but you do it clean. No assault charges, no restraining orders, nothing they can use against you in court. You sound experienced. Divorce. Ex-wife tried to take my kids. I had to learn to fight smart instead of angry. Did it work? I see my kids every weekend. She's working 2 jobs to pay lawyers. Yeah, it worked. That night I'd made a list. Everything I wanted them to lose. Not things I'd take. Things they'd lose because of choices they'd already made. I just needed to make sure those consequences caught up. Small towns are gossip engines. Drop information in the right ears and watch it multiply. My town wasn't small exactly, 40,000 people, but the neighborhoods were. Everyone knew someone who knew someone. I'd started with Sandra at work, casual conversation during a break. You hear about my son's business troubles, I'd said. Little bit. He does construction, right? Did. Lost his contractor's license. Permit violations. Turns out he'd been cutting corners on safety inspections. That's dangerous. That's what I said, but what do I know? I'm just his mother. Sandra had told her sister. Her sister worked at the community center, taught yoga classes that half the neighborhood attended. Within a week, Daniel's name was circulating, attached to words like unsafe and unreliable. His business had depended on neighborhood referrals, kitchen remodels, bathroom updates, small projects for middle-class families. Those families talked to each other, shared contractor horror stories, warned each other about people to avoid. I'd also posted screenshots, not of the emails about my removal. Something better. Photos of the apartment violations, electrical boxes left open, ventilation ducts disconnected, safety rails removed. All from the building inspection. Posted them in local community groups on social media. Is this legal for a residential property? I'd asked innocently. Included the address. Daniel's business name was on the permit applications, public record. The comments had been brutal, people tagging their friends. Didn't he do your kitchen? Responses, oh God, I need to check my electrical now. His remaining contracts cancelled. 3 projects, 15 grand total. Gone in 2 weeks. Lena had tried to salvage her brand, posted about overcoming obstacles and standing by your partner. Her engagement dropped 90%. Comments full of people asking about the wedding slap video. She'd eventually made her accounts private. Too late. Screenshots live forever. Other people had shared her content, mocking it. Relationship goals posts juxtaposed with the video of her hitting me. I'd checked on them through Daniel's public business page. He'd posted a statement, taking time to reorganize and regroup. Temporary setback. Temporary. Everything was temporary with them. My homelessness had been temporary. Their success would be temporary too. At least I'd been right about one of those. Then Mira had called. Mom, what are you doing? Working. Sleeping sometimes. Living. You know what I mean. Daniel's business is destroyed. Lena's career is over. People won't hire them. That's unfortunate. This is your fault. I didn't falsify permits. I didn't hit anyone at a wedding. I didn't pawn family heirlooms. They did all that themselves. You're spreading it around, making it worse. I'm sharing public information. Is that illegal now? It's vindictive. It's accurate. There's a difference. Daniel says you've lost your mind. Daniel can say whatever helps him sleep at night. In his house, in his bed, on his property. Funny how he's still comfortable while I spent 2 months in a garage. That wasn't my fault. You knew about it. I thought he'd change his mind. But he didn't, and you didn't warn me. You chose his side. I chose not to get involved. That's the same side. Silence helps the oppressor, not the victim. Oh my God, you're not a victim, Mum. You're working 2 jobs. you have an apartment, you're fine. I'm fine because I saved myself, not because either of you helped. Now I'm just making sure you understand what self-sufficiency feels like." She'd hung up. I'd added her to the list of lost things. Both my children, gone. But they'd left first. I was just acknowledging reality. Daniel had been following me. I'd noticed the same grey sedan 3 days in a row. Different parking spots, always within eyeline of wherever I'd gone. Not subtle. He'd never been good at subtle. I'd been expecting confrontation, got a car chase instead. Thursday afternoon, I'd driven from the gym to the grocery store. The sedan had followed. I'd pulled into the lot, parked, watched him circle. He'd probably thought I hadn't noticed. I'd pretended to shop, bought nothing, walked back to my car, drove out the east exit, the one that led to the industrial district. Empty this time of day. Perfect. There's a section of road near the old factory that narrows to 1 lane. Construction has been ongoing for 2 years. Real construction ended after 6 months, but the signs and cones stayed. No one bothered removing them. I'd led him there, sped up just enough to make him chase. Not enough to be reckless, just enough to make him think I was panicking. The narrow section had a tow-away zone on both sides, clearly marked. I'd driven through, he'd followed, focused on me, not the signs. I'd cleared the construction zone, pulled into a side lot, parked behind a dumpster. Watched. 3 minutes later, a tow truck had appeared. City contract, they patrol that area twice daily. I'd checked the schedule online before planning this. Daniel's sedan got hooked. He'd run out of his car, arguing with the driver. I'd recorded it on my phone from a distance. Couldn't hear the words, but I could see his face. Red, angry, gesturing. The tow driver hadn't cared. Rules are rules. Tow zone is a tow zone. Impound fees plus daily storage. $240 to get his car back. He'd have to pay cash or certified check. I knew this because I'd researched it. Thorough planning makes good revenge. I'd driven home via the main road. Normal speed, normal route. If he'd accused me of anything, I was just grocery shopping. How would I know he'd followed me into a tow zone? He'd called that night. "You set me up." I went shopping. "You led me into that construction area." "You followed me. That's called stalking. It's illegal. Want to call the police and explain? This needs to stop." "What needs to stop?" "You following me." "All of it. Whatever you're doing. The reports, the gossip, the sabotage." "I haven't sabotaged anything. You built your business on violations. You built your reputation on lies. Those things collapse on their own. I'm just watching." "We're drowning, Mum. We can't sell the apartment. We can't get contracts. Lena can't get work. We're going bankrupt." "Sounds tough. You don't care." "Did you care when I was sleeping in a garage?" Silence on the line. Long enough I'd thought he'd hung up. "I did care," he'd finally said. "But it was necessary. You don't understand the pressure we were under." "You're right, I don't understand. Explain it to me. Explain how throwing your mother away was necessary." Lena needed to know I'd prioritize her. Her family expected it. "So you sacrificed me to prove you were a good husband." "It wasn't like that." "What was it like?" "You were supposed to understand. You were supposed to support us." "By being homeless?" "By not making it difficult." I'd laughed. Actually laughed. "Making it difficult. That's beautiful. I made it difficult by existing in your way." "I didn't mean, yes, you did. You meant exactly that. And now you're learning what difficult actually looks like." I'd hung up, blocked his number. Didn't need to hear from him again. Mira showed up at my apartment unannounced. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. I'd been sleeping after a double shift. Her knocking woke me up. "We need to talk," she'd said when I'd opened the door. "About what?" "Can I come in?" I'd let her in. Studio apartment doesn't hide anything. She'd seen my life in one glance. Single mattress on the floor, hot plate for cooking, clothes in cardboard boxes. "You're living like this," she'd said. I'm living. Better than a garage. Mum, this is depressing. It's affordable. I'm not in debt. I sleep fine. She'd sat on the only chair. Daniel's talking about leaving the state, starting over somewhere else. Good for him. Is that what you want? To drive him away? I want him to understand consequences. Where he goes is his choice. He's my brother. And I'm your mother. Where were you when he locked me out? I told you, I thought. You thought he'd change his mind. You said that already. You were wrong. He didn't. And you didn't help. I didn't know how bad it was. Because you didn't ask. You took his side without asking mine. She'd looked around the apartment again. Do you need money? From you? No. Mom, I'm trying to help. Now you're trying to help, 6 months too late. What do you want from me? An apology? I want nothing from you. That's the point. I stopped expecting anything from my children. It makes life simpler. That's not fair. You're right, it's not fair. Nothing about this was fair. But I'm not interested in fairness anymore. I'm interested in survival. She'd pulled out her phone, shown me something, text messages between her and Daniel. She's planning something big. Be careful. Who's she? I'd asked. You. Daniel thinks you're going to file a lawsuit or press charges or something. Why would I do that? Because you're angry. I'm always angry. Doesn't mean I'm stupid. He's scared, Mom. He should be. She'd put her phone away, looked at me directly. What happened to you? You used to be kind. I'm still kind, just not to people who hurt me. Daniel loves you. Daniel loves himself. There's a difference. I know about Lena's plan, she'd said suddenly. The real one. This had stopped me. What real plan? She's going to divorce him. After they'd sold the apartment, she was going to take the money and leave. Daniel doesn't know. I found emails on her laptop at Christmas. Why didn't you tell him? Because if they divorce, he loses everything, and maybe that's what he deserves for what he did to you. But I couldn't decide. Neutral again. Trying to be. There's no neutral in family. You're either helping or you're complicit. Is that why you're destroying them? Because I didn't pick your side? I'm not destroying them. They destroyed themselves. I'm just refusing to rebuild them. She'd stood up. You've changed. Yes, I have. People who sleep in garages tend to change. She'd left without saying goodbye. I'd gone back to sleep, dreamed about nothing. Dreamless sleep is a gift. Means you're too tired to worry. But the information she'd given me was useful. Lena planning to leave Daniel. That added a new dimension. Question was how to use it. The laptop password had been easy to guess. Daniel had used the same one since college. His birthday backwards plus the family dog's name. Creative security was never his strength. They'd left it at the house during Lena's sister's baby shower. I'd driven by, seen all the cars, known they'd be occupied for hours. The garage had a side door they'd never bothered to lock. Amateur move. Laptop was in the kitchen. 20 minutes of searching, I'd found the email thread Mira had mentioned. Lena and her mother planning the divorce timeline. Wait until property sells, file in different state, asset protection strategy. I'd forwarded the emails to myself, deleted the forwarded items from her sent folder, cleared the trash, logged out, left the way I'd came, not breaking and entering if you used to live there. Grey area legally. But I hadn't taken anything physical, just information. And information wanted to be free, or whatever the internet said. Daniel had no idea his marriage was a countdown clock. Lena was waiting for the apartment sale that would never happen. They were both trapped in a sinking ship, blaming each other for the water. I could have told Daniel, could have shown him proof his wife was planning to abandon him. The old me would have. Mothers protect their children from pain. Instead, I'd sent the emails anonymously to Lena's mother, created a fake account, pretended to be concerned family friend. Thought you should know your daughter's plans are being discussed in risky places. Email security matters. Vague enough to create paranoia, specific enough to cause problems. Lena's mother had confronted her. I'd known because Lena's stress posting on private social media had intensified. Mira had shown me screenshots. Mum thinks I'm making a mistake. Says divorce before sale is better. Strategy shift. Now they were fighting about when to divorce, not if. Daniel's still clueless, but mothers talk, and Lena's mother had apparently decided to warn Daniel's mother. She'd called me. Helen, we need to discuss our children. Why? Because they're both being stupid, and we're the only ones who can help them. I'm not interested in helping Daniel. Don't you care about his happiness? Did he care about mine when he put me in a garage? That was Lena's influence. She's not good for him. He's an adult. He made choices. She manipulated him. He let her. That's still his fault. Helen, please, as one mother to another. Don't use that line, we're not the same. You raised a daughter who slapped me at her wedding. I raised a son who let her do it. Neither of us won any parenting awards. What if I could make Lena apologize, publicly? Would that help? No. What do you want? I want my son to understand what he destroyed. I want his wife to lose everything she values. I want them to feel what I felt. That's vindictive. That's justice. She'd hung up, but the call gave me an idea. If Lena's family was turning on her, I could accelerate that. Make them choose between their daughter and their reputation. Small-town families hate being associated with scandal. I'd made more anonymous posts. Screenshots of Lena's expensive purchases, contrasted with unpaid wedding vendor bills. Anyone else owed money by this couple? Tagged local businesses. 3 vendors responded publicly. Photographer, caterer, florist. 10,000 in unpaid bills combined. The local news picked it up. Local couples' wedding debts leave vendors unpaid. Ran Lena's photo alongside the slap video. Full story package. Her parents had to pay those bills. Family reputation mattered more than money. But relationships are like bank accounts. You make too many withdrawals. Eventually it closes. The restraining order came via process server on a Tuesday. I'd been leaving for work. Official document, temporary protection order. Lena claiming I'd been harassing her. Stalking. Threatening violence. All lies. But lies on official paper look like truth. The hearing was set for 2 weeks out. I'd have to defend myself or accept a permanent order. Permanent order meant no contact, couldn't go within 500 feet. Would have complicated everything. I'd driven to the library, used public computers to pull records, screenshots from my phone backed up to cloud storage, location data from my car's GPS, work schedules, security footage from my job. Every moment of my time accounted for. Jimmy at the gym had a friend who was a lawyer, not criminal, family law. She'd met with me for free consultation. You have proof you weren't near her, she'd asked. I have proof I was working or sleeping every time she claims I approached her. Good, keep everything organized, timeline format. Judges like clean evidence. What about her lies? You'll get to present your case, but stay calm. Don't look vindictive, look reasonable. I am reasonable. Then act like it in court, no matter what she says. The day before the hearing, I'd found something else. Security footage from my building. The timestamp showed Lena near my apartment 3 days before she'd filed the order. She'd been on my street, near my car. Either she'd been stalking me, or she'd been setting up this accusation. Either way, it undermined her claim. The hearing room was smaller than I'd expected. Judge behind a desk, not a traditional bench. Lena and her lawyer on one side. Me and a borrowed briefcase on the other. Her lawyer had gone first. Your Honor, my client has been systematically harassed by the respondent. Multiple instances of following, threatening social media posts, interference with business relationships. Evidence? The judge had asked. Photos of my social media posts. Public posts, nothing private. The wedding video share. The permit violation posts. All public information. None of this shows harassment, I'd said when it was my turn. These are public documents I shared in public forums. You targeted my client specifically, Lena's lawyer had said. I shared information about permit violations in my former residence. Information that's available to anyone who requests it. The judge had looked at the timeline. When did you live at this address? Until 2 months after my son's wedding. I was evicted by my son and his wife so they could sell the property. This is the same son who married the petitioner. Yes, Your Honor. And you're claiming these posts weren't retaliatory? I'm claiming they were factual. I can't help if facts damage her reputation. Lena's lawyer had objected. The judge had waved him off. Ms. Pierce, did you approach the petitioner at any point in the last month? No, Your Honor. I've been working 2 jobs. I have time cards, GPS data, and witness statements for my entire schedule. I'd handed over my evidence packet. Organized, tabbed, highlighted. 40 pages of alibi. The judge had flipped through it. This is very thorough. I'm a nurse. Documentation is important. Your Honor, regardless of physical proximity, the social media campaign, Lena's lawyer had started. Sharing public information isn't illegal, the judge had interrupted. Is there any evidence of direct threats? The pattern shows intent to harm. Intent isn't illegal, action is. Do you have evidence of illegal action? Silence from their side. Then I'd played my card. Your Honor, I have security footage showing the petitioner near my residence 3 days before she filed this order. I'd pulled up the video on my phone, showed the timestamp. Lena walking past my building, looking at my car. Can you explain why you were at the respondent's apartment? The judge had asked Lena. I was in the neighborhood. For what purpose? Visiting a friend. What friend? No answer. The judge had set down the papers. I'm denying this request. Nothing here shows a credible threat or pattern of illegal harassment. Sharing public documents and posting factual information, while perhaps motivated by anger, isn't grounds for a restraining order. If you want to pursue defamation, that's a civil matter. But this court doesn't issue protection orders for hurt feelings. Bang of the gavel. Hearing over. Lena had been white-faced leaving the courtroom. Her lawyer had been furious. I'd been calm. Outside, she'd confronted me. You're destroying my life. I'm living mine. If that destroys yours, maybe your life was built on sand. Daniel won't forgive you for this. Daniel already made his choices. I'm just making sure he owns them. You're a monster. I'm a mother who got thrown in a garage. You made me this way. Don't complain about the monster you created. She'd left. I'd driven back to work. Normal shift. Normal life. But something had shifted. The restraining order failure had been her last play. Now she had nothing. The email was from Daniel. Subject line. You were right. I'd opened it at 2 a.m. during a break at work. Mum, I found Lena's divorce papers. She's been planning to leave me since before the wedding. You knew, didn't you? That's why you've been destroying her. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. Can we talk? No. We couldn't talk. Too late for talking. But I'd responded anyway. Check your business accounts. Check who's been taking money. 6 hours later, another email. She's been moving money into her mother's name. 10,000 over 6 months. From our joint account. Financial infidelity on top of planned divorce. Beautiful. What should I do? He'd written. Whatever you want. Not my problem anymore. But it was my problem in a different way. Because if Daniel knew about the divorce plan, he'd try to protect himself. File first, freeze assets, lawyer up. That would slow everything down, drag it out for months. I'd needed them imploding fast. Clean break, maximum damage to both. So I'd forwarded Daniel's emails to Lena, anonymously. Your husband knows everything, FYI. Then I'd waited. The explosion happened within 48 hours. Daniel had filed for divorce first. Emergency motion to freeze accounts. Claimed financial infidelity. Lena countersued. Claimed emotional abuse. Both requested the apartment sale proceeds. The apartment that couldn't be sold because of violations I'd reported. They were fighting over money that didn't exist yet, might never exist. Their lawyers were probably thrilled. Billable hours stacking up. I'd checked their social media. Both had posted vague statements. Going through difficult personal time, please respect privacy. Too late for privacy. Their wedding video had 60,000 views. The follow-up about unpaid vendors had 20,000. Their divorce announcement got picked up by local news. Social media wedding couple splits after fraud allegations. Not fraud, technically, but headlines don't care about technically. Mira had called. Are you happy now? Not particularly, are you? You destroyed their marriage. Their marriage was a business arrangement that fell apart. I just watched. You did more than watch. Did I? Did I make Lena plan to divorce him? Did I make Daniel pawn grandmother's jewelry? Did I make them steal my house? You made everything worse. I made everything visible. There's a difference. Mom, this needs to stop. They're both drowning. Good swimmers don't drown. They were never good swimmers. You knew that. You raised Daniel. You knew he wasn't strong enough for this. She'd been right. I had known. I'd known my son was weak, malleable, desperate for approval. I'd known that since he was 12 and changed his entire personality to fit in with popular kids. I'd known, and I'd used it anyway. Maybe he'll learn, I'd said, or maybe he'll break. Then he breaks. I broke in that garage. Nobody caught me. You're different now, harder. Yes. Do you like it? Being this way? Honest question deserved an honest answer. No, but I like being walked on less. The auction notice went up on the courthouse steps. 3 months after the wedding, the city had finally moved forward with seizing the apartment. Unpaid fines, unresolved violations, abandoned property status, legal process, everything by the book. I'd been checking the listings obsessively, waiting for this. The auction was set for Saturday, 10 a.m. Public sale, cash or certified funds. Minimum bid, 80,000. I'd been saving everything. Both security jobs, nursing shifts, every dollar that didn't go to rent or food. Living on rice and beans for months. 10,000 saved. Not enough for the apartment. But I'd had another asset. Workers' compensation settlement from a back injury 2 years prior. I'd been holding it for retirement, invested in bonds. 75,000, liquidated everything, took the tax hit, had certified check for 82,000 ready Friday night. I'd told no one, not Mira, not Jimmy, not Marcus. This was mine alone. Saturday morning, I'd arrived at the courthouse an hour early. Small crowd gathering. Professional investors mostly, looking for flips. 2 other individuals, and Daniel and Lena standing separately. They'd spotted me simultaneously. Both faces had done different things. Daniel's had crumpled. Lena's had gone cold. What are you doing here? Daniel had asked. Same as everyone else. Public auction. You can't afford this. How do you know what I can afford? Lena had walked over. First time I'd been close to her since the courtroom. This is our property. Not according to the city. We can fix the violations. We just need time. You had time, months of it. You spent it fighting each other instead. Mom, please, Daniel had said, don't do this. Do what? Participate in a legal auction. This is revenge. This is me buying property at auction. If you want it, outbid me. The auctioneer had started at 10 a.m. exactly. Professional, bored, done this 1,000 times. Minimum bid 80,000. Who'll give me 80? I'd raised my paddle. Number 42. 80,000. Do I hear 85? Daniel had looked at Lena. She'd shaken her head. No money. No way to bid. 80,000 going once. Wait, Daniel had said. We need to. Going twice. Please, Mom. Sold to paddle 42. The gavel had been quieter than I'd expected. Thought it would be dramatic. Was just a tap, like punctuation. I'd walked to the clerk's window, handed over my certified check, signed papers, got a receipt and a key. "Congratulations on your purchase," the clerk had said. I'd turned around. Daniel and Lena were standing together now, united by loss. "You can't do this," Lena had said. "I already did. That's our future, our money. Was never your money. You never paid for it. I did. 16 years of mortgage payments. My name on the deed until you stole it. Now it's mine again. We'll sue." "For what? I bought property at a legal auction. You failed to contest. That's on you." Daniel had grabbed my arm. "Give it back. Please. We'll lose everything." I'd pulled my arm free. Twice now he'd grabbed me. I'd decided this was the last time. "You already lost everything. You just didn't notice until now." That's when he'd swung at me, actually threw a punch, clumsy, emotional, no technique. I'd stepped back, let it miss. Security guards had been on him immediately. "That's assault," one guard had said. "It's fine," I'd said. "Family dispute. He's upset." "Mom, he tried to hit you." "He missed. I'm not pressing charges." They'd escorted him out anyway. Building policy. Lena had followed, shouting threats about lawyers. I'd stood in the courthouse lobby holding my receipt. Property deed would be processed in 3 days. Then I could move in. Back to my home. The one I'd paid for. The one I'd built a life in. Except it wouldn't be the same. That home was gone. The mother who'd lived there was gone. This was something else. A victory that tasted like ashes. But it was mine. That mattered. They'd been waiting outside my apartment that night. Both of them. Daniel's face was bruised where security had restrained him. Lena looked worse. Not physically. Something else. Defeated. "We need to talk," Daniel had said. "No, we don't." "Mom, please." "Stop calling me that. You gave up the right." I'd tried to walk past. He'd blocked my path. Not aggressive, just desperate. "Move," I'd said. "Not until you listen." "I've listened for 28 years. I'm done." Lena had stepped forward. "What do you want? Money? An apology? What will make this stop?" "Nothing. There's nothing you can give me that I want." "There has to be something." "Why? Why does there have to be something? You took everything. You can't give it back. It's gone." "We made mistakes," Daniel had said. "We know that now." "You made choices. Calculated, planned choices. You didn't accidentally throw me in a garage. You decided to." "I was wrong." "Yes, you were. And now you're facing consequences. That's how life works. You're my mother. You're supposed to forgive me." This had made me laugh. Actual bitter laughter. "I'm supposed to forgive you? Like it's my job? Like mothers exist to absolve their children no matter what they do?" "That's what Mom did for you," he'd said. "My mother." He was bringing up my mother, who'd loved him unconditionally, who'd died never knowing her grandson was capable of this. "My mother died thinking you were a good person," I'd said. "Be grateful she never learned the truth." "I am a good person. I just made bad choices." "Bad people always think they're good. That's what makes them dangerous." Lena had tried a different approach. "Helen, please. We're about to lose everything. We'll be homeless. Then you'll understand how I felt. We can't live in a garage. Neither could I, but I managed. We have nothing. You have each other. That's what you chose over me. Enjoy it." Daniel had moved closer. "You're really going to do this? Take everything and leave us with nothing?" "I'm taking what was always mine. You're left with what you earned. Turns out that's nothing." That's when he'd pushed me, both hands on my shoulders, shoving me against the building wall. Hard enough to hurt. Lena had joined in, grabbed my arm, trying to pull me down. 2 against 1. They'd probably thought numbers mattered. Jimmy's training kicked in automatic. I dropped my weight, broke Lena's grip, elbowed Daniel in the ribs. He'd gasped, stepped back. I'd turned, shoved Lena away. Not hard, just defensive. Stop, I'd said. Daniel had come at me again. This time I'd been ready. Sidestepped, used his momentum, let him crash into the wall where I'd been standing. Lena had screamed, "Someone help! She's attacking us!" Doors had opened, neighbors coming out, phones appearing, recording. Perfect. "I'm defending myself," I'd said loudly. Clear voice, calm. "They attacked me. You're all witnesses." Daniel had tried one more time. Grabbed my jacket. I'd twisted my wrist like Marcus taught, broke his grip, stepped back. "Touch me again and I call the police," I'd said. "Call them," Lena had shouted. "Tell them she's been stalking us, harassing us, destroying our lives. Tell them you assaulted me first. Tell them I defended myself. Tell them about the wedding where you slapped me. All these people have cameras. Go ahead." Reality had hit them simultaneously. They were being recorded, multiple angles. Their attack was documented. Daniel had backed away. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is. It's been over. You just finally noticed." They'd left. Neighbors had asked if I was okay. I'd said yes, thanked them, went inside, locked the door, sat on my mattress on the floor. My hands had been shaking. Not from fear, from adrenaline, from something that felt like power but might have just been pain. I'd wanted to feel victorious. Instead, I felt empty, like I'd won something that had stopped being worth winning. But I'd won anyway. That was what mattered. The key felt heavy in my hand. 3 days after the auction, the deed had processed. The apartment was legally mine again. Had been mine, then wasn't, now was again. Full circle, except nothing was the same. I'd packed my studio in 2 hours. Didn't have much. Never accumulated much after the garage. Learned to live small. It sticks with you. The apartment looked different, smaller than I remembered. Daniel and Lena had painted, changed the fixtures, made it theirs. Except it wasn't theirs anymore, was mine. Again. I'd walk through empty rooms, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, kitchen with the window I used to love. Hardwood floors I'd paid for. Walls I'd painted 7 years ago. Home. Except it didn't feel like home. Felt like a museum of my old life. The garage around back was still there. I'd walked out to look at it, door hanging open. Empty except for some paint cans and a broken chair. Had been my bedroom for 2 months. Now just a garage again. I'd stood there looking at it, trying to remember what cold felt like. The way your bones ache when temperature drops. The way breath freezes in your lungs. The way you stop feeling things, because numbness is safer than pain. Couldn't remember. Already distant. Brain protecting itself, probably. Trauma gets fuzzy when you survive it. Back inside, I'd started unpacking. My clothes in the closet that used to be mine. My dishes in the cabinet I'd installed myself. Everything back where it belonged. Except I didn't belong here anymore either. The doorbell rang. Mira. Of course. "So you did it," she'd said. "I did." "How does it feel?" "Empty." "That's not what I expected you to say." "What did you expect?" "I don't know. Triumph. Satisfaction. It's just a place. I needed somewhere to live. I bought somewhere to live." "You bankrupted your son to do it." "He bankrupted himself. I just stopped catching him." She'd walk through the apartment, touch the walls. "We used to visit here. When I was little, Grandma would make cookies in this kitchen. I remember. Do you remember what she said about family? She said a lot of things. She said family is who catches you when you fall. She said family is everything. She also said trust people who earn it. Daniel didn't earn it. Neither did you." "I know. I should have helped you." "Yes, you should have." "I'm sorry. Apologies don't fix things. They just acknowledge things are broken." "What happens now?" she'd asked. "I live here, work my jobs, keep existing." "And Daniel? What about him?" "He's your son. He made himself my enemy. Sons who do that stop being sons." That's cruel. That's survival. She'd left after that. Didn't say goodbye. Seemed fitting. Goodbyes are for people who plan to see each other again. We probably wouldn't. She'd chosen her side. I'd chosen mine. Sides don't mix. That night I'd slept in my old bedroom. Same space I'd slept in for 16 years before the garage. Should have felt like coming home. Felt like sleeping in a stranger's house. Window view was the same. Tree outside, street lamp, neighbor's fence. All the same. But I was different. Too different to fit the old space. Revenge is supposed to feel good. Books say that. Movies show it. Hero gets revenge. Music swells. Credits roll. Everyone's satisfied. But real revenge feels like ashes. Tastes like nothing. You win, but the victory is hollow, because what you really wanted was the past back. I'd won. I had my apartment. My son had nothing. His wife had nothing. They'd lost everything they'd valued. Money, reputation, future plans. Gone. And I felt nothing. No joy, no satisfaction, just empty. Maybe that was the point. Maybe revenge isn't about feeling good. It's about making them feel what you felt. And what I'd felt was empty. Cold. Abandoned. Now they felt it too. We were even. Equally destroyed. Equally alone. Fair? Maybe. Just? Probably. Worth it? I didn't know. Couldn't tell anymore. The line between justice and cruelty had blurred somewhere around the garage. Maybe they were the same thing viewed from different angles. Didn't matter now. Was done. Over. They were gone from my life. I was back in my apartment. Everything resolved. The revenge was complete. I'd destroyed them without breaking any laws. Without going to prison. Without even getting arrested. Just systematic dismantling of everything they'd built on my back. They'd taken my home. I'd taken it back. They'd taken my dignity. I'd taken theirs. They'd made me nothing. I'd made them less. Scorched earth. But at least it was my earth now. The knock came at 6 a.m., week after I'd moved in, insistent, demanding. I'd opened the door, still half asleep. Daniel, alone, looking like he hadn't slept in days. I'm not giving it back, I'd said immediately. I know. Then why are you here? To tell you that you win. You got everything you wanted. We're broke. Lena left me last night, took what little we had left, and went back to her parents. My credit is destroyed. I'm living in a motel. You win. Completely. I just wanted you to know that. Hope it makes you happy. He'd turned to leave. Wait, I'd said. He'd stopped, looked back. You think this makes me happy? I'd asked. Doesn't it? No, it makes me even. There's a difference. I don't understand you anymore. Good. We're even on that too. I didn't understand you when you threw me in a garage. I said I was sorry. You said words. Sorry isn't sorry if you'd do it again when convenient. I wouldn't. Only because you can't. You have nothing left to trade me for. He'd flinched at that. Physical reaction, like I'd hit him. What did you want me to say? He'd asked. What words would have fixed this? No words. Words are cheap. You taught me that. Actions matter. And your actions told me exactly who you are. I'm your son. Biologically. But that's genetics. Being a son is earned. You unearned it. So that's it. We're done. Forever. We've been done since you signed those transfer papers. This conversation is just acknowledging reality. You've changed, he'd said. Yes, people who get discarded tend to change. Survival instinct. You should try it. I loved you. Past tense. Interesting choice. I still love you, but I don't like who you've become. I don't like who I had to become either, but you made this version of me. You and Lena. You built this monster out of the mother you threw away. Don't complain that the monster came back. I'm not a villain. I'm just someone who made mistakes. Villains never think they're villains. They think they're practical, efficient, just making hard choices. That's what you told yourself, right? Moving me to the garage was practical, a hard choice, necessary. It was supposed to be temporary. Everything's temporary if you wait long enough. That doesn't make it right. He'd wiped his eyes, actually crying. I don't know how to fix this. You don't. It's not fixable. Some things break permanently. This is one of them. So I just... What? Disappear? Never talk to you again? You already disappeared. 2 months in that garage, I disappeared from your life. This is just making it official. Mom, don't call me that. You lost the right. Helen. Better, at least it's honest. He'd stood there another moment, maybe hoping I'd change my mind, hoping the mother he'd known would surface. Forgive him, take him back. Mothers do that, endless forgiveness. Goodbye, Helen, he'd finally said. Goodbye, Daniel. He'd walked away, down the stairs, through the parking lot, into an old car I didn't recognize. Must have been a rental. His BMW had been repossessed months ago. I'd watched him drive away. Felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not regret. Just acknowledgement that this chapter was closed. Book finished. Story over. I'd closed the door, locked it, went back to bed. The apartment was quiet. My apartment, my space, my home, mine. It felt empty. But empty was better than occupied by people who hurt you. Empty was clean, safe, controllable. I'd lie there thinking about nothing, making no plans, having no goals beyond existing through another day. That was enough. Survival was enough. The revenge was complete. They'd lost everything. I'd won. Wasn't supposed to feel like this. Victory was supposed to feel different, triumphant, satisfying. Instead, it felt like the end of something without the start of anything else. But maybe that was fine. Maybe the point wasn't to feel good. The point was to stop feeling bad. And I'd stopped. The cold garage feeling was gone. The humiliation was gone. The helplessness was gone. What replaced it was harder, colder. But at least it was mine. I'd chosen this, built it, owned it. My son was gone. My daughter was gone. My old life was gone. Everything gone except this apartment and the knowledge that I'd survived. Was it worth it? Destroying my children to reclaim my dignity? Ask me again in 10 years. Maybe I'll know by then. But right now, in this moment, lying in my old bedroom in my reclaimed home, surrounded by quiet and empty space. Yes, it was worth it. They'd tried to erase me. I'd erased them back. Mutual destruction, fair trade. I'd close my eyes, sleep, dream about nothing. Tomorrow I'd work. Day after I'd work. Keep working, keep existing, keep surviving. That's what mothers do. We survive. We survive anyway. And sometimes, if we're lucky, we make them pay for trying. I'd survived. They hadn't. That was the whole story. That was enough.